Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto content. I do just want to apologize ahead of time. You might hear my dogs walking around. I'm actually recording this downstairs using a very high quality mic, so it pretty much picks up everything. But yeah, today was a pretty busy day. Didn't have too much time to really analyze the market between the gym and also kind of doing some business emails. I didn't get too much time to really record a ton of videos on time, but nonetheless, we are going to, pretty much jump into it. So market is down about almost 4%. Told you guys, Monday is most likely going to be bloody, and we are getting a bloodbath, if you will. It's nothing too bad. I mean, we're only down about 4% overall in the total market. Bitcoin's only down about 3%. XRP is down barely 2%. So things have been holding steady for the most part. The entire week ahead of us is very important just to kind of analyze. But I honestly just want to get out of this, standstill, if you will. It sucks. Trust me. I'm feeling the pain just as well as everybody else. And, it does suck. There's not enough substance really to really kind of, be intrigued, if you will. But we do have some incredible news, or I shouldn't say incredible, but like interesting news to really talk about. First and foremost, I'm going to be talking about the Tether stuff. So I tweeted this out today. Now, this is actually regarding Tether. I said, what will all the Bitcoin maxis say when Tether implodes due to it being backed by scam liquidity, resulting in the biggest drop in Bitcoin history, and utility replaces the number one spot? Bitcoin will essentially lose all of its dominance, and we will have a new crypto market, a utility market. Also, if you don't believe Tether is a scam, you need to do your own research. They have been constantly backing Bitcoin's price the entire time from 3K to 65K Bitcoin, and Tether will have their days of scrutiny. Bitcoin will always be around, but not number one forever. And I do just want to say, Tether is one of those assets that have a lot of people worried, especially if you guys are in crypto. You should be worried about Tether and Tether's history. Now, the meaning behind this tweet is the fact that Tether has been pretty much, the best way that I could describe it is they've been basically selling this asset that has no true liquidity, that's backed by them purchasing Bitcoin, selling for a profit, and kind of pushing it back into the market, if that makes sense. It's basically, Tether is not, pretty much pegged by the dollar. It's not. They say that it is, but I honestly think at this point we could kind of really analyze it. Now, a lot of stuff has already been happening between Tether and kind of some information leaking about the internal, affairs of Tether. But the best way that I could describe it is pretty much say for so I'm selling you Tether, right? And you're buying, I don't know, I'm printing 1 million Tether and you're buying 1 million. So you just bought 1 million Tether that I printed out of nowhere, and it's not exactly pegged to the dollar. They claim that it is, but it's one of the biggest lies by Tether to this date. Now, most of Tether's headquarters are out of the States. There's some, there's somewhere, I forgot where it is, but it's basically an island. And it basically has no jurisdictions for legal scrutiny. Now, we could still see Tether get shut down completely and pretty much, if you will, delist it. Now, this will hurt Bitcoin's price a lot as we've watched the volume flow in for Bitcoin utilizing Tether. Now, if we come over to this article here, this is saying why Tether, the world's third biggest cryptocurrency, has economists worried. And this is even regarding it, right? We're seeing, Tether is the third biggest cryptocurrency in the world by market value, and it's got some economists, including an official at the Federal Reserve, worried. We do see Boston Fed President Eric Rosengren recently raised the alarm about Tether, calling the cryptocurrency a potential financial stability risk. Some investors believe a loss of confidence in Tether would be crypto's black swan, an unpredictable event that would severely impact the market. And I do agree. I definitely think that Tether is one of those assets that we really need to analyze more and really kind of look into. But we do see here, they were saying that Basically the issues surrounding Tether hold significant implications for the nascent cryptocurrency world, and economists increasingly fear that it could also impact markets beyond digital currencies. Here's what you need to know. Now, this is pretty much telling you what Tether is. I'm not going to go into it. It's basically, you guys already kind of know what it is. It doesn't really matter if I go in depth on that or anything. Now, here's the controversial information behind it. We do see some investors and economists are worried Tether's issuer doesn't have enough dollar reserves to justify its dollar peg. That's exactly what I mean, right? Sure, it could be pegged to the dollar, if you will. But the thing is that there's way too much. Like if we come over here, right, we do see that this total circulating supply is 62 billion Tether. Now they've been printing a lot of Tether as of recently. This year alone, I forgot what the statistic was, but Crypto Whale released it, but it was in the billions. It was their largest printing of Tether to date. Now, the reason why this is concerning is they are saying that they don't think that they have enough dollars to back this amount. So basically, what they're doing is they're holding other crypto assets, and say for so, the individual that best described this was Quincy. He was basically saying, say for so, they printed 100 million Tether. That's $100 million, and they invested it into something like Bitcoin, right? And they sold at a 20% increase of price, so they made $20 million. They would make that $20 million, put the 100 million Tether back into the ecosystem for Tether to basically have that circulating supply, and they would make that $20 million off of fake cash. It's basically, the best way that I could describe it is like it's pretty much like the Fed printing $1 billion, taking that, investing it, making $3 billion, pocketing the $2 billion, putting the $1 billion back into circulation. That's the best way that I could describe it. And that's the big problem right now that they're basically saying here. And they're saying in May, Tether broke down the reserves for its stablecoin. The firm revealed that only a fraction of its holdings, 2.9% to be exact, were in cash, while the vast majority was in commercial paper, a form of unsecured short-term debt. That would place Tether in the top 10 biggest holders of commercial paper in the world, according to JP Morgan. Tether has been compared to traditional money market funds, but without any regulation. With more than $60 billion worth of tokens in circulation, Tether has more deposits than any of many U.S. banks. And then we also see here that there have been long concerns about whether Tether is being used to manipulate Bitcoin prices, with one study claiming the token was used to prop up Bitcoin during key price declines in the monster 2017 rally, which we've been looking into this quite some time. When we look at pretty much the idea of, right now, even this tweet here, right? We do see cryptocurrency trading volumes slump 40% in June, data shows. And this guy goes, weird how crypto trading volume plummets as soon as the Tether printer stops going burr, almost like there is correlation. And there is, right? Pretty much Bitcoin's propped up on the Tether scheme. That is why when you see people, like for an example, I mentioned this on Twitter today, Michael Saylor saying, hey, go out, mortgage your house, get into Bitcoin with it. And that's the problem, right? Because we're seeing some controversy arise, and I've been calling Tether a scam for quite some time. I even mentioned it multiple times on Twitter. I do think that Tether is one of the biggest scams in crypto history, and it's gonna have its day of scrutiny. Now we do see here earlier this year, the New York Attorney General's office reached a settlement with Tether and Bitfinex, an affiliated digital currency exchange. Now, we do see here the state's top law enforcement official had accused the firms of moving hundreds of millions of dollars to cover up $850 million worth of losses. Tether and Bitfinex agreed to pay $18.5 million in the settlement and were barred from operating in New York State. However, the companies didn't admit to any wrongdoing. Now, we also see here market contagion. Analysts at JP Morgan had previously warned that a sudden loss of confidence in Tether could result in a severe liquidity shock to the broader cryptocurrency market. Now, I'm just saying right now, I would not be surprised if we do see a massive switch up in the market. We've been talking about it for quite some time. I've talked about it a lot when I say that Bitcoin could lose its number one spot. And I do strongly still believe in that. I do think that at some point in time, we're going to see Bitcoin fall from the number one spot, especially with something like Tether, because there's still a lot of assets that aren't backed by Tether. The only one that's truly backed by it is most likely Bitcoin. And when I say truly backed by this, I mean a lot of volume flows from Tether into Bitcoin. Now, when we talk about that, I do think that utility will take over. So we could see Ethereum take over, we could see XRP take over, we could see any major utility token take over. And when I talk about Ethereum, Ethereum does have utility, way more utility than Bitcoin. So it would make sense. I believe that that's going to happen at some point in time. Maybe not this year, but we are seeing a lot of speculation come up with Tether. Now, this article was actually posted 2 hours after I tweeted about, Tether. I talked about it, and, a lot of people will even admit that, this is actually, pretty much the rise and fall of Bitcoin. And I strongly believe that it is as well. Now, we do see there are concerns that a sudden increase of Tether withdrawals could lead to a potential market contagion affecting assets beyond crypto. In June, Rosengren mentioned Tether and other stablecoins as one of the several potential risks to financial stability. We also see here a future crisis could easily be triggered as these become more important sector of the financial market unless we start regulating them and making sure that there's actually a lot more stability to what's being marketed to the general public as a stablecoin. Now, I'm not going to say anything regarding, the idea that if regulations were to come into this, market, would Bitcoin ever reach these highs ever again? I do strongly believe that, Bitcoin is not moved by, people buying or selling. It's moved by massive whales and massive volume flowing in. Now, like I said, we've seen multiple times, even this year, where Tether was printing billions of USDT and it was flowing right into Bitcoin. We watched it. We watched the wallets load up. Now, in terms of this, what would happen, say for so, tomorrow if Tether was to get sued and Tether pretty much gets shut down? I believe that the volume on Bitcoin will massively decrease, and I also think that the price of Bitcoin will massively decrease as well. And yes, that is bad for the entire market, but I do think at that point, Bitcoin will stay under scrutiny, similar to how XRP has stayed under scrutiny of the SEC. And I do think that it will allow another asset to kind of take over, run at a massive rate, because we've never seen this before. I mean, not a lot of people can even analyze this overall because we've never seen this perspective play out before. Now, say for so if Ethereum did run, say for so it pretty much made it to number one. It gains over 40% dominance over the market, and it just starts running and running. All altcoins will follow in its footsteps except for Bitcoin. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me, of course, because there's a lot of people that love Bitcoin. Trust me, I think Bitcoin did its thing for the most part. I think, the time for Bitcoin has already passed. I think it's overdue for Bitcoin to kind of lose its number one spot. And as much as people want to hate on it and say it's never going to happen, trust me, it is. It's going to happen. Everything is playing out perfectly, especially considering Tether. Now, for me personally, I think utility is the future of the crypto market. I don't think that it's going to ever be called a crypto market ever again once we get to the point of utility-driven prices. And that's why I even say, we're going to be marching into a whole new market. It's going to be called a utility market because a lot of the assets, after regulations come into the space, which I do think that regulations are a great thing to happen to crypto, and a lot of people disagree with me, but then we can kind of say, let's get Tether out of here because obviously we already know that Tether is massively manipulated. Like I said, we've looked at it multiple times. A lot of other assets will follow in the footsteps of Tether being, pushed out the door. And I think at the end of the day, most of the assets that will survive are going to all be utility-driven assets: QNT, ALBT, HBAR, XRP, etc. And what's going to happen is the market's going to run on a utility driven value where every asset that is being utilized on a mass scale is going to move the price and increase in value for the entire crypto market cap. And I do think that that is the future of what's to come. But let me know what you guys think about Tether and pretty much the future of crypto down in the comments below. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys do want more free content, you guys can follow me on Twitter at NCashOfficial. You guys could also join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out.